Hey, Mike.
Hey Heather, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm fine. You're looking good?
Thank you. Appreciate it. You too. You're growing your hair out, I see.
Oh yeah, let me turn around for the audience. Can you see?
Oh, wait, let me make you bigger. There you go. Now you're full screen.
Let me take out the ponytail.
It's coming along nicely.
Thanks. I still haven't decided if and when I'm going to cut it.
Oh, are you gonna look like a hairband rocker?
Maybe. Who do I kind of look like? Maybe Willie Nelson, but he has a mustache and beard, I think, and he has longer hair. Uh,
Okay. So the audience, you guys who are watching, take a real good look. What celebrity does Mike Shackelford look like? Put it in the chat.
I've been hearing Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim. So what's new with you? What have you been up to the last few weeks?
Yeah, I don't know if Tiny Tim is better or worse than the Unabomber. Um, so let's see. I think it was 3 weeks since the last one, and me and some of the Wizard family did a houseboating trip on Lake Powell.
Ooh.
And despite the fact that the water level was really low, that was a lot of fun. As always, Lake Powell is great. If you guys want to know more information about that and see pictures, I wrote my newsletter last week about that. And there's a previous newsletter in 2 parts about a Lake Powell trip I did in 2019. So nice. I just love Lake Powell. It's so much fun. It's like the Grand Canyon, but filled with water.
That's really, really awesome. Cool. So when are you going to go back there? Do you think you're going to go back anytime soon, or are you going to wait a little bit?
We're kind of talking about going back in 2023. Okay. So yeah, it's that kind of thing. It's probably good to do once every couple of years, and it's going to, yeah, we'll see. I think it would be fun to do it in a smaller and faster boat. It wouldn't be as luxurious because you would have to camp on the beach, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Isn't camping on the beach part of the fun?
It would be for me. Mrs. Wizard has higher standards of luxury than I do. So
don't they have those really big houseboats that they rent out where it actually has rooms and everything?
Yeah, that's what we rented.
Oh, that's what you rented. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool.
Yep. So the drawback with the houseboats is they're slow and they're really big, and it's hard to find a good place to park them.
Good point. Okay. So do we have any trivia for today? Are we doing trivia on this broadcast?
For my newsletter today.
Ooh.
It's not going to be really suitable for, I guess questions I could ask for the audience, but some are so hard that nobody would ever get them.
When you said not suitable, I'm thinking adults only.
No. Well, for example, one question the audience might get is, which president declared Father's Day, and it's these questions are all on Father's Day. Which president declared it as the third Sunday in June? Okay. So I let the audience have it, that one.
So if you guys know, put the answer in the chat. And by the way, happy early Father's Day to you, Mike.
Thank you, and to all the dads watching.
Yes, definitely. Now, shall we get to the questions?
Yes. So let's reward the people that got here early by answering their questions first. And by the way, let me apologize. We were a little bit late. And if I may say, I don't know, to me, Heather's audio sounds like it's like she's talking through a metal pipe.
Oh, really? It's that bad?
I mean, I definitely could still hear you. I mean, it's okay.
We've been having technical difficulties all week, and I tried fixing it before this live stream. I'm also a little darker than normal too. We'll fix it. We'll definitely fix it. But thank you for bearing with us, and I hope it's not too bad.
Okay, let me jump right into the questions, and I'm going to do these kind of rapid fire style.
Okay.
Okay, so Techniques asks, He asks about a blackjack game called Jack that is at least at the Hard Rock Cincinnati and might be at the properties in Cleveland and Detroit as well. And I know that the Dan Gilbert casinos, I know he sold them. So maybe the casino names are different. But okay, anyway, here's how it works. Instead of paying 3-2 on a blackjack, if the blackjack is, let's see, if the two cards in the blackjack are one of each color, it pays even money. If they're both red, it pays 3-2. And if they're both black, it pays 2-1. Is this better or worse than regular blackjack? Well, it is worse. Why, you might ask? Because if you average 1, 1.5, and 2, it comes out the same. But you shouldn't take a weighted average because half of those blackjacks are going to be of mixed color. So you should double weight that. So what you really should be doing is taking an average of 1, 1, 1.5, and 2. And that should come out to 1.25. But let me verify that real quick. No, I was wrong. It averages to 1.375. So yeah, 1.375 is less than 1.5. Therefore, it is a worse game. But they hired me to do the math on that. So it's something I'm a little familiar with. Okay, next question. Paul Andrews asks, is there a good resource that tracks slot progressives that are higher than average? My answer is unfortunately not that I know of. If anyone else knows of anything, please mention it in the comments. Okay. Such a resource, though, would really be time consuming because you would need to have a lot of scouts out there checking these progressives. And sites like that, although extremely valuable, tend to not make that much money. So it might not be the best business idea. Okay, but let's move on here. Paul Andrews also asks, when you see a player at your table making bad bets or poor decisions, are you compelled to correct the behavior? This is one I get a lot. I would say absolutely not. In fact, not only should you not correct the behavior, just keep your mouth shut. I find that if you try to correct the behavior, it's not going to be well received. You will probably get something like mind your own business. You don't know what you're talking about. It's likely to lead to an argument at the table or at least kind of bad feelings. So when I see bad play at the table, I just keep my mouth shut. The only exception might be is if I've kind of bonded with this other player somehow, like maybe if they have complimented me on my play, then I might say something like the odds favor hitting, something like that if I see them making a bad mistake. But I will only do that maybe 5% of the time. Like I said, if I've become friendly with that player and I think they will appreciate the advice. But to 99.9% of players out there, I'm just another idiot, and why should they listen to me? Okay. Mark Smith asks, is there a way to estimate how many virtual stops on a machine by observing the play over time? Absolutely. Okay, what he's referring to is it's possible to determine the odds of a slot machine with a lot of math and observation. But the observation means is you have to track how often you see each symbol on each reel. And you probably would need, I don't know, at least 1,000 spins to even have a rough estimate of that. But once you have that information, and assuming you know the full rules of all the bonuses and stuff like that, then you actually could sit down and analyze the game. So, yeah, it's just a matter of tracking, just a matter of recording how often you see each symbol on each reel. Okay, Mark Smith also asks, when you are hired by casinos to figure out the math of a game, do casinos have a certain time frame to recoup a large jackpot based on, say, DPH, whatever that stands for, played on the machine? Well, for one thing, casinos almost never hire me to analyze a game. Usually, that's the way it goes is a game inventor will hire me. Then the game inventor will take the game to the casinos. And game inventors all often want progressive side bets and stuff like this. And I try to tell them the signage on a custom progressive jackpot is going to be very expensive. You're already going to have to throw like $100,000 at this game, even if it's simple, and expect to throw another 50, 100,000 at it if you want a progressive side bet. So I always advise them, let's just have a fixed pay table on your side bets for now. And if your game does really well, you can consider adding progressives down the road. So anyway, yeah, I don't get asked to analyze progressives that often, because usually the only time a game will have a progressive is when it's owned by a big company like Shufflemaster, and they have their own people that can figure out the math on those. Okay, David Mitalski asks, is 7 double bonus a good video poker game? Off the top of my head, I haven't heard of that. But it would all depend on the pay table. So short answer is I don't know. Gary Ho asks, besides a casino, where in Vegas would you go to cool off? I would be unlikely to cool off at a casino. I'm fortunate to have my own swimming pool, so I probably would just go in that. If I wanted to get away from my own house, I might go up to Mount Charleston, which is much higher in elevation than Las Vegas is. So it's going to be about at the bottom of at the bottom of where you park. That's going to be about 10, 15 degrees cooler than Las Vegas. And if you climb up there, the higher up you climb, the cooler it gets. All the way up to, I would say, the tip of Mount Charleston, it's probably going to be like 20, 25 degrees cooler than Vegas. I would really be unlikely to go to a casino pool. For one thing, most of them make you show a valid key. Now, however, if I had a friend in Vegas and they really invited me to go to the pool, maybe I would say yes if I wanted to hang out with the friend. But, I kind of like hot weather. So, the heat doesn't really bother me as much as you might think. And furthermore, I get up really early in the morning, like 4 a.m, and do my exercise then, at this time of year. Okay.
Wait, before we move on, just a sec. Okay, another thing too is Cowabunga Bay is really good to cool off at. So is Wet and Wild. Also, if you go to the wetlands, that's really cool in the summer. And also Springs Preserve is really cool. And as far as the pools, here's a pro tip. If you stay in Las Vegas and you keep your car key or your room key, you can keep it. Next time you come to Las Vegas, if you stay at a different hotel, you could still go back to the hotel that you have the card key for, and you could use it. And what they check is they check to see if it's a valid room key. They don't check to see if it's active. So it doesn't have to be active. It just has to be real.
I did not know that. I thought somehow the machine they put them through knew that, well, there's some good information.
That's how I go to the pools.
And by the way, Cowabunga Bay and Wet and Wild are water parks, if that's your thing. I don't think anyone's really going to cool off. I wouldn't go to the Springs Preserve to cool off, because that's, it's not far from downtown Las Vegas, so it's going to be the same temperature as that outdoors. Let's see. Yeah, that's all I can say on that one. Jonathan Paul Yee asks, what do you think of dice control in the game of craps? Is it true? I get this one all the time. The real short answer is I'm extremely skeptical of it. I have yet to be convinced anyone can influence the dice to a point where they can make money in the casinos. Is it possible? A few people can. It's possible, but like I said, I'm still skeptical. I think that of all the people that have taken dice influence classes and read books and really given it the old college try, I really think that less than 1% of them can actually beat the house edge, and it's possibly 0%. Okay, next one. I recently won about $2,500 in promo chips at the casino? What's the best game to use it? Do you have any strategy for playing blackjack with it, especially insurance that can be a good bet with promo chips? Okay, I could talk about this all day, but it depends on the rules of the promo chips. Usually promo chips are the kind, there's two kinds. There's the use till you lose, and then there's the use once type. Generally, and another complication is if it's a use once type. If you want to double down, do you double with real money or do you double with another promo chip? And so the answer depends on these kinds of things. I have a whole thing on my website about promo chips, but I think that I come to the conclusion that regardless of what the rules are, blackjack is a good game to use them in. Okay, what's your favorite video games? What's your favorite? I'm old, so I like the old games. I like the Nintendo NES, like Punch Out and The Legend of Zelda. And I also like go back even further to the Atari 2600. I like Breakout and Adventure and Combat. Getting back to the Wii, I really like Wii Golf, Wii Tennis, Wii Ping Pong. Yeah. Do you want to chime in on that one, Heather?
That's awesome. And hopefully, I think I fixed my microphone problem. So hopefully you guys can hear me now.
Yeah, that sounds much better.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, good. My favorite video games, like you said, A Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game. I love all the Zelda games, but A Link to the Past is my favorite. So is Wind Waker as far as the series goes. Portal series is my absolute favorite. I play that once a year regardless. I play all of the little extensions, add-ons, that type of a thing. For a first-person shooter, I really enjoyed Borderlands 2 because it was hilarious. And I really enjoyed Far Cry 3, but I didn't like any of the other Far Crys. And then really liked Ni no Kuni. That was really awesome. There's such a list. I have a Steam account and I have like 300 and something games on there. So I really love video games. Been playing since I was 4 years old. Atari was my first one.
Was it the 2600 or something later?
It was the Atari 2600, and Pitfall was my favorite.
Did you like the best?
Pitfall.
I never really got into Pitfall. That's the one where you swung by vines over traps with alligators, right?
Yeah.
I never had that cartridge.
Oh, I was addicted to that game.
I played a lot of Atari chess too.
That's a good one. I could definitely see you being a chess video game person.
Yeah, I played that hours and hours and hours.
Have you ever played any like fighting games like Street Fighter or anything like that?
Just Punch Out, Mike Tyson's Punch Out on not the Wii but the NES.
Nice.
And I got all the way to Mike Tyson, but I never defeated him. But I also really liked what's that game called where you like jump up and hit mushrooms and coins?
Oh, Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah.
And I knew like where all the secret passages were. That one was really neat.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would play a lot more video games if I had more time. Okay, Weird. Let's move on. Weird. I mean, Gary Howe asked Weird Al Yankovic. I don't really see the connection there. My former business partner, Michael Bluejay, looks a lot like Weird Al, especially when he had longer hair.
Do you like Weird Al Yankovic?
Yes, he's great. I met his brother once when I was in line to buy a piece of stereo equipment outside of a store in LA.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, Weird Al is great. And I love that he plays the accordion and he plays it well.
What is your favorite song?
Oh, they're all so good. I Lost on Jeopardy.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yes.
That's a good one. I like that one. Mine is White and Nerdy because I'm so like freaking nerdy, and yeah, I'm totally white. Actually, I'm polka dot. If you see my skin, you can't see it right here, but I'm polka dot. Mike can attest to it.
What song is that a parody of?
I don't remember. I don't
Maybe the
know.
audience knows.
Yes, if you know, put it in there. We're looking for your answer.
Okay. Okay. Moving right along and moving quickly. Max Payne asks, big fan of the Wizard. Have you kept in touch with Henry Tamburin? What's he been up to? Thank you. And Henry Tamburin, I don't really know. Haven't heard from him in a while. He moved to, I think, North Carolina, but that was a long time ago. He may have just retired and just kind of faded out of the business. That's the best I can do. Okay. Wild Foodie Tours says, happy times in Vegas, everyone. Amen to that. Gems asks, how many hours do you typically spend on a blackjack table? 0. I hardly gamble at all anymore. Here's one for Heather. David Batowski asks, Heather, I guess he's asking if red is your hair color.
I think he's saying red is my color, but either way, thank you. Awesome. Appreciate it. And red is my hair color, but it's dyed, and I am not one of those women that lie about it. It's totally obvious, but I love it red, so I'm going to keep dyeing it red.
Okay, moving right along. A math test asks, and I guess she's asking anything. I'm not sure I understand the comment. Something about Flag Day. No Flag Day trivia, I'm afraid. I was thinking about doing that, but I already have 2 full videos on flag trivia, and I exhausted all my best questions on those, so I'm afraid not. By the way, I think last Sunday was Flag Day, and I completely forgot to celebrate it. So I'm kind of mad at myself about that. It's one of my favorite days. Of course, not as great as Pi Day, but I consider myself really good at flag trivia. So yeah, sorry guys. Okay. Okay. Going way back to my trivia question. David Metowski says Johnson. Yes. Lyndon Johnson in 1966 was the one who officially declared Father's Day to be on the 3rd Sunday of June. Now, I think some other presidents had kind of mentioned having a Father's Day before, but I don't think it was an official thing until President Johnson. Okay, some of these are kind of old. Ann Larson asks a question. She asks about doing amateur calculations at home. I do most of my gambling math just on a calculator and in Excel. A lot of people ask if there's a special software for analyzing casino games. And, there's good programs for video poker and other ones for blackjack, but there's really nothing good for gambling in general. And I think it's really important to understand the math behind the games as opposed to just using a piece of software. So that's why I like to do all my own calculations. And one question I often get asked is, Mike, what software did you use to analyze, game XXX? And I say none, or Excel or Visual C++. I do everything from scratch. And I almost always do all my own math starting from nothing. Okay, moving right along here. Okay, Anne also asks, I have a friend who is interested in seeing if he could advantage play for a living, even though AP is done on the down low now. He wants to know if there any good info online he could look up. Yeah, there's no golden path that explains to people how to be an advantage player. First, you have to decide. There's lots of different ways you can do it. And then once you pick a way that's suitable for your bankroll and risk tolerance, and skill set, then concentrate on learning that method. So yeah, it's kind of a vague question. And we can talk about this particular person later if you want. Okay, Darren asks, is chess related to math? Why can't the smartest human chess players beat the top chess computer engines anymore? Well, I mean, chess computers are definitely mathematical, but it's more so. I mean, this is not something I know that much about, but how good they are has a lot to do with the speed of the computer and how efficiently it uses its time. For example, the simple chess computers just thought so many moves ahead and went with the one that, shall we say, had the best position at the end of it, assuming the player always made the best play. But now they only look down like paths that are kind of like obvious. Either player might play, and I mean, talking about how chess computers think is not something I want to do. But basically, just because the programming and the computers are much faster, that today the best computer is much better than the best human at chess. And yeah, that's just the way it is. Okay. Are you too excited about the Juneteenth holiday? It makes it an even 12 holidays per year, and it's great that blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, I've barely even heard of Juneteenth until recently, but did this have something to do when slaves were freed in Texas?
It was the official day that they were freed. And yes, I'm very, very excited. It should totally be a holiday, and this is awesome that it is.
I have nothing against that. For me, every day is kind of the same.
Every day is a holiday? You celebrate every day?
Every day, I like to say I don't know whether I'm always working or never working. But when I say every day is a holiday, this computer with work on it is always right here, and it's always dragging me in here like a magnet. So the only way I can escape work is to leave the house without a computer. And so no matter what day it is, if I'm home, I'm going to be coming in here doing work. And so it makes no difference whether a day is an official holiday or not to me.
Are you saying you work 24/7?
Well, of course, I'm not working when I'm sleeping.
Or hiking.
But then again, if I'm hiking, I might come up with like an idea of something to do or a better way to do something that I'm already doing. So, I would imagine it's kind of the same with you, Heather, that do you ever are at home and just say, I'm taking the day off, I'm not working?
Well, that gets a little personal, because when that happens, it's usually because I'm sick. And I for people who don't know, I have a list of autoimmune disorders. So there are days where I just can't work, and it limits how much time I can work, and it limits the days I can work. So it's sort of a loaded question.
Okay, sorry to go there.
Do you want to go on to the next question?
Yeah, why don't you ask me some, Heather, from the peanut gallery?
What is your favorite board game?
I really like Risk. I haven't played it in years, but yeah, when I was in high school and early college, I spent an ungodly amount of my time playing Risk. Monopoly, I like too. Clue, the classic old games, basically. Wish I had time to play Risk and a circle of friends that could play, but sadly, once you start working and having kids, there's just no way to find people to say, sit down and let's play a 4-hour board game.
I thought that's what kids were. I thought that's what kids and your wife were for.
I don't want to speak for every kid, but my kids just don't really like board games. I mean, I loved them as a kid. I mean, I love puzzles in general and challenges, but they play whatever they play on their devices, but I think they probably would say board games are like so antiquated.
Did you say Yahtzee? I don't think I heard Yahtzee.
Yeah, I like Yahtzee too, as you know.
Awesome.
I can't really see like playing Yahtzee for like hours and hours at a single time, but yeah, Yahtzee's pretty good too.
Yeah. Have you ever played Fireball Island?
No.
That is my favorite board game. Fireball Island.
Into that Fireball Island.
Fireball. It's hard to find and it's pretty expensive. If you want to play, like I got a board game, so me and you, we can get together. Now that I'm vaccinated, I can be around people. This is so awesome.
Cool.
Next question is from Mark. As an actuary, what math courses do you have to take to analyze gambling?
That's a really good question. The math, to be honest with you, really doesn't get that deep when analyzing gambling. That I think as long as you were, say, like at least got through algebra, you probably could analyze most games from a math standpoint. What's much more important is being able to program a computer. And you need to be pretty good at that. You don't need to know graphics and maybe some of the finer skills. I would say you can analyze any casino game with just what you would learn in, say, the first 2 computer programming courses. You should know all the main loops like if, while, and for. You should understand pointers and functions and things like that. But it's tricky to do it well. And in fact, just this week, I made my first video where I show how to analyze Baccarat using C++. And it's my hope that people that don't understand computer programming can kind of follow along with my explanation of what I'm doing in plain simple English. And I think you will find that computer programming is really not that difficult. It's just telling the computer to execute just very logical commands. Like if this statement is true, then execute these commands. And if it's not, then execute these. And, multiply and basic math.
On that point, Steve was asking, what language do you program in?
Mainly C++. If I'm doing something, if I want to run a Visual Basic, if I want to run a macro in Excel, you have to use Visual Basic. And sometimes I use Perl if I'm doing something that's reading data. Sometimes I use JavaScript if I'm writing like a calculator for my website. But for anything that's kind of heavy, I'm going to use C++.
Okay.
C++ is great. All the C languages are great. And if anyone is considering getting into programming, I highly recommend that you learn one of the C-based languages, which most of them are. But frankly, all of them really follow the same kind of logic. And once you understand one language, it's pretty easy to pick up other ones.
Well, you are pretty smart to begin with too. So next question. Next question is from Mo. The other day I hit a bonus slot. I had a choice to pick 72 free games or 16 free games at 2 times pay, 8 times pay, and then 16 times pay. Is one better than the other?
I tend to think what you mean is that maybe he got the choice of 72 free games or I would much rather have 72 free games than 16 paying just a 2x multiplier. The way most of these games do it is that the product of the number of free games and the multiplier is always the same. For example, it might say you can have 24 at 1x, 12 at 2x, 8 at 3x, or 6 at 4x, or 4 at 6x, and so on and so forth. If that's the case, then the expected value is the same no matter what you pick. So you should make your decision upon how much volatility you like. The more volatility you like, the fewer games and the greater the multiplier you should pick. Now, if you really did write your question correctly, and you could have either 72 at 1x or 16 at 2x, I would assume that the free games at the 2x multiplier also have more wilds, to balance things out. But when games give the players a choice in a bonus round, like which bonus do you want or which way do you want to play a bonus, they tend to make it so that the expected value is the same no matter what the player picks.
Good to know. Very good to know.
Thanks.
Next question is from our favorite person, Anne. Mike, any tips on how someone could raise their personal IQ if their goal is to be a part of Mensa?
That's a good question. And I've been talking about that with somebody else. I think that it might help a little bit is if you took puzzle books intended for people who want to take an IQ test, and they will have questions like what is the next number in this series? Like it might say 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. What's the next number? And it might say, the word. What's a good example? Hair is to head. What fingers is to blank? Things like that. And I think that would help a little bit. I really think there's not a whole lot you can really do. I think that if you studied a lot, I think it's only going to maybe improve your score by like 5 points or so. Yeah. And but nevertheless, I love puzzles, and if someone gave me a book on of IQ tests, I'm sure I would love going through it just for fun.
What's your favorite puzzle to do?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me see. I've been really addicted to what are called two-notch puzzles, and I'm trying to see if I have a book down here.
Well, Mike is looking for that. And another thing you could do that will help with the Mensa IQ rating is take good care of yourself. Get plenty of sleep, eat good food, do all the normal stuff that they always tell you to do. And that should help as well.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. So, okay, these are called two-not-touch puzzles. I have 5 books of these. So these are what the puzzles look like. And the object is to fill in every row, column, and figure with 2 stars, and they cannot touch. For example, look on the cover here. If you look at it carefully, you can see that every row, column, and shape has exactly 2 stars in it, and they never touch, including diagonally. And I visited my mom, and there were 2 of these in her New York Times, and I sat there doing over and over and over again. Like I kept making mistakes, and I kept having to recopy the puzzle. So I looked it up when I got home, and like I said, I'm addicted to these. Right now, I'm spending like an hour a day, which for me is a lot of spare time on these. And before I go to bed, I'm sitting there doing lots of them. And but other than that, I like Sudoku. I like mazes. I am not real big on any puzzles that involve words. Like I'm not that good with crosswords. I'm not that good with jumbles. So yeah, there's my quick answer to that one.
Awesome. Okay, next up is from Darren. Bet365 sometimes offers automatic winners for sports betting. For example, if your NFL team goes up by 17 points, it's an automatic money line winner, even if they go on to lose. What's the player's edge?
That's a really good question. This is the first I've heard of that. I'm going to have to look into that after the show, and I might be spending a lot of time analyzing this. But that sounds like a really cool idea. Yeah, I will have to get back to you on that.
Okay. We got a fun one for you. Have you ever played the board game Scotland Yard?
Nope. Have you?
No, but it sounds like fun.
Never even heard of it.
Uh-huh. Okay, so our next question, or do you have any trivia you want to ask people? We keep going through these questions.
Here's just some miscellaneous trivia.
Okay.
So a rose is the official flower of Father's Day. You're supposed to wear a red flower on your lapel if your father is living, and white if he isn't. Every year, Americans purchase 90 million Father's Day cards. Well, how many Mother's Day cards, you might ask? Ooh. That is, of course, more at 133 million. Here's an interesting bit of trivia. George Washington is known as the father of our country, and has this reputation of being this very, manly military kind of guy. But he was sterile. He could not have kids. And he did have 2 stepchildren through Martha Washington's first marriage, but he had no biological children.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I read a website of people with the most number of men with the most number of children. Mm-hmm. And not surprisingly, a lot of people on this list were people in the LDS church. Brigham Young, for example, is known to have fathered 56 children. Warren Jeffs of the fundamentalist LDS church is known to have at least 60. Let's see. Which president, okay, here's a good question for the audience that someone might know. Which president has the most confirmed number of children?
Okay, so if you guys know that, put that in the chat, and we will see who the winner is here in just a second. Until then, we are going to go back to the questions from our viewers. And our next one is from Darren, who says, Blackjack apprenticeship, Colin Jones, claims that blackjack card counting is still viable today for advantage play. Do you agree? Thanks, Mike.
If you had asked me a year ago, I probably would have said that card counting is almost dead, but I'm changing my position on that a little bit. I know a guy who is still actively counting out there, and lately he's been doing really well. He did say that the mask mandate really helped him a lot not get recognized. Yeah, blackjack is definitely tougher than it used to be in that casinos are getting better at identifying counters and rules are getting worse. But it's definitely not dead. I personally think that maybe only one advantage player in 10 at most is mainly is card counting. But Colin may think that it's, a higher percentage than that. And I wouldn't say that he's wrong. But the bad thing about blackjack is, again, it's kind of easy to get caught. It's only about a 1% advantage. A lot of your results are going to come down to like the really big bets that you make. So it's rather volatile. Personally, I think that for the average person, there's better advantage plays out there. But yeah, there's my quick answer on that one.
Awesome. And we have no answers yet. Oh, wait, we do have an answer. Was it President John Tyler?
Yes, KV gets a brownie point. John Tyler holds the record with 15 confirmed children.
Nice.
Okay, next trivia question.
Uh-huh.
Which is the only president to have 0 children? And this includes adopted children and alleged children.
How about stepchildren?
I would file stepchildren in that with too. This president just has no connection to his own children of any kind.
So basically it was our only bachelor president. So we could have had him on like The Bachelor. Well,
a lot of married presidents and, may not have children.
Oh, okay.
Not every couple produces children.
Okay. So while we're waiting for you guys to answer the trivia question, our next question comes from our viewer, something that I cannot pronounce, and I'm not even going to try. Curious, your chart, the chart where you talk about the dealer totals based on their open card. Was it based off of the math that you did, or was it based off of simulations?
Now it's based off of pure math. I avoid simulations as much as I can. Sometimes there's really no choice.
Mm-hmm.
But everything you see on my website about Blackjack is based on cycling through all the ways the cards can play out. So it was based on math, not simulations.
Okay. And the answer to the trivia question, was it Lincoln?
No, Lincoln I know he had a son named Tad.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, Tad died as a child and Lincoln got really depressed about that.
Oh.
But no, Lincoln fathered at least one child.
Okay. So do we have any more trivia questions?
Okay. Well, if we don't have anything else on that one, I will just tell you guys that would be James K. Polk.
Oh, Polk.
Mm-hmm.
The one who invented the polka.
I can't confirm or deny that. Okay, here's one for the audience.
Okay.
In 2014, there was a survey of who was the best or most popular TV father. Who won?
Ooh, there's a lot of answers. Can I guess?
Sure.
Was it Homer Simpson?
Nope.
Oh, damn. Okay, so our next question from our viewers while we're waiting for that is from Dennis. In craps, I know there are odds for the field bet and there are odds for the 4 individual horn numbers. What would be the odds covering equally all 4 horn numbers?
Do you understand what he's asking?
I think, okay, so this is what I'm getting from it. So you're basically covering the same numbers, but they have different payouts. So how are the odds different?
What do you mean by odds?
Percentage of your house edge percentage.
Yeah, absolutely. The house edge is different. It's so the horn bet, that's a combination bet on the 2, 3, 11, and 12. The house edge there is going to depend upon what the casino pays on those proposition bets. But let me just say that the house edge on the field bet is 2.78% if the 12 pays 3-1 and 5.56% otherwise. And the house edge on the horn bet is really high, like about 15%. Mm-hmm. So I would just recommend just stay away from the horn no matter what you do. If you must bet the field, I would try to only play at a casino that pays 3-1 on the 12. And that is my advice on that. And I may not have answered the question properly, but that's what I got to say. Okay, let's look at some answers here. I see Bill Cosby, Huxtable, which is the same thing, Cliff Huxtable, good old Mike Brady. But the answer is Bill Cosby. He was the most popular TV father in 2014. So nice. Good job.
Nguyen. Very good.
And Ronaldo. So, yep.
Awesome.
How far he has fallen. Okay. And okay, here's an interesting little piece of trivia. Mm-hmm. 1 in 200 men are direct descendants of Genghis Khan.
He had a lot of kids. Why isn't he on the list?
Who?
Genghis Khan. He had a lot of kids. Why isn't he on the list?
Well, he's okay. The list that I mentioned earlier, I think, was only for Americans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's why. but he fathered hundreds of kids, and he had lots of wives and concubines, but furthermore, he conquered huge parts of Asia, and he and his army went around killing the men and raping the women, and that's, I'm sure, why he fathered, several hundred kids at least, and they all, and
well,
that
you don't get
just remains to this day.
You don't get to those numbers by doing it consensually.
Yeah. Maybe if you're a sperm donor, but even sperm donors at best only have like 100 offspring.
Okay, so Christopher says that he is really digging your long hair, and he has to tell you.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, so are we going to trivia answers or question?
Let's see. That's all the trivia I'm going to do. Again, I asked some more stuff in my newsletter this week, so look for that if you want more Father's Day trivia. There are just a couple questions from the website.
Okay.
Let me pull that up. I can't immediately find that, but I remember what they are. Okay, one of them asks, one of them says that at BetMGM, they sometimes give what's called a parlay boost, where they boost the win on a parlay by 10%. And the way they do that is they take whatever you win on a 4-1 basis and they multiply that by 1.1. And I guess, and the question was, how would you play that? And so I looked into that, and let me pull up my work here. So if you were to assume that every money line bet had the same advantage, then it wouldn't matter what you do. You could pick whatever bets you were going to make anyway and parlay those. Surprisingly, this 10% parlay boost is not as good as you might think it is. The house edge without, on a 3-leg parlay, is going to be about 12% without the boost on money line bets. And with the money line boost, or with the parlay boost, it decreases it to about 3%. So I'd much rather have a 3% house edge than 12%. But nevertheless, there still is a little house advantage there. So don't get too excited about that. And the way I would play that, and this advice goes for playing money lines in general, is look for, the casinos will keep the lines on the underdog and the money line what are called 20 points apart if they're fairly closely matched, like they might be plus 130, minus 150, plus 140, minus 160. But they're only going to do that up to a certain point. So I would look for the most you can get paid on an underdog where there are 20 points between the underdog and the favorite. And I looked at week 1 in the NFL at William Hill in preparation to answer this question. And I found that the best bet was a case where the underdog paid plus 170 and the favorite was minus 190. So you had those two 20 basis points apart. So I find the house edge on that bet to be about 3.6%. Now they bump up that difference if you go higher. There was another game where it was plus 180, minus 210. So there it jumped to 30 basis points. So what you want, in general, what you want to do is you want to minimize the difference, the number of points between the underdog and the favorite, divided by let me go back to my spreadsheet, divided by what the fair odds would pay on a 4-1 basis. For example, let's take that case where we had the underdog is plus 170 and the favorite is minus 190. So you have 20 basis points apart. And if we assume that the fair line is right in the middle at plus 180 on the underdog, then you would divide 20 by 280, which is what the underdog would pay if it was getting fair odds. So the house advantage there is 20 divided by 280, which works. No, it is not. It's 20. See, 25. It's 20. Shouldn't that be?
I feel like we should be playing Jeopardy music. Dun, 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 dun. Okay,
No.
Rachel.
Okay, I misspoke here. The house edge is you take the difference between the favorite and the underdog line, divide that by 2. So there we get 10. And then you divide that by what a fair bet would pay on the money line on a 4-1 basis. So here we would take 10 divided by 280, and we would get a house edge of 3.57%. I know that wasn't the best explanation I ever gave, but I spent a fair bit of time on this question before the show. So yeah, there you go. There is my advice on that one. And another question, somebody else asked a question that I wanted to discuss with you before the show. But as you know, we were having technical difficulties. So Heather, go over to the private chat for a minute and I'll ask you.
Thank you for asking me privately before we do it online. Much appreciated. Okay, 1 second, you guys. Behind the scenes stuff.
And just let me know if you want to discuss it on camera.
Oh, yeah, we could discuss that.
Okay. So what's your answer? Okay, so the question is, now that things are getting back to normal, are we going to go back to doing live streams together?
Yeah, we could do that together. That's totally cool. I'm vaccinated. You're vaccinated, so it's all good and everything.
All right.
There shouldn't be any
together
problems
again.
anything.
Shall we?
Yay. Yeah. Do you know what table game you want to focus on, or do you just want to do what we did last time where we just, hung out?
Yeah, let's just hang out. Let's just answer reader questions. And if I think of anything to discuss, I'll let you know, but nothing planned at this early point.
Awesome.
Well, it looks like we're out of time. Well, we started a little bit late. So Heather, if you see any really good questions, go ahead and ask me.
I did have one for you. KV said, Mr. Wizard, you are the #1 guru for casino play. Is it hard for you to actually enjoy yourself when you're in the casino environment?
First, thank you for the compliment. Very nice of you to say. As I said earlier in the show, I really don't gamble that much anymore. It's not that I dislike it, but it's kind of like if you had a professional gourmet chef. I tend to think that when he goes home, he's not going to spend 3 hours making a great gourmet meal. He's probably going to think, this is work to me. I'm just going to go do something simple. So usually when I'm gambling, it's either because I perceive some kind of an advantage play, or there's a friend from out of town who just wants to play, and in which case I'm just going to bet small and play for entertainment reasons with that friend. But I really don't perceive advantage plays very often. I don't try very hard to look for them. Lots of times when I do perceive them, they're the advantage is so tiny that it's not worth my time. But when I have the chance, I like to play Pai-Gow tiles. I live way out on the west side of Vegas, so I would have to go all the way to the Strip to play tiles. So I don't get the chance very often. But yeah, there you go.
I think it's one of those things where if you're just in the industry, you don't want to do it on your off time. I have a friend who is a video editor for movies and TV production, and he doesn't enjoy watching movies and TV when he's off because he's sitting there criticizing everything or thinking like they should have done this instead of that, or they screwed up on this, and it just totally ruins it for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things.
You know, I guess the excitement of gambling has worn off for me. I mean, I still like it, but I don't love it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, your interests are passing. Like you've always had passing interest in everything. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Speaking of passing interests, I'm now up to 21 cards in my with the 52 Peak Club.
Sweet.
And yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that we're going to have to call time. I apologize to any questions that we didn't have time to answer.
Yeah.
So
the sooner you guys get in and ask the questions, the more likely it is that we'll be able to answer them.
Yep. So Heather, thanks for helping.
Yeah. And when is the next time we're going to do another live stream? We're doing it in person, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So my calendar's falling apart. Where is the July page?
So it would be in July.
Would you believe that with all the technology, I still use a paper calendar?
Hey, whatever works, right?
Yeah. I don't trust these computers to do it. So today's June 17th. I've got nothing planned for July 1st. Shall we do that?
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good. So thank you, audience, for participating and for all your questions and comments.
Thank you for joining us.
Yep. Okay. Well, thanks again, Heather. And I'll see you in a couple weeks.
See you in a couple weeks. Have a good